What is up, and welcome back, sports fans, to another episode of Sports, of course, with Jonah and my man RPF. RPF, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. You know what they say about us? They said we wouldn't last, and here we are.
They continue to say that, yet we continue to prove them wrong. Hey, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast, over on Apple, Spotify, all the great platforms. You can also find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our own dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF in the search bar, and we will pop right up for your listening pleasure. All right, we have a full docket of Week 4 recap, as well as Week 5 preview for you, as well as
MLB.
We're going to venture out a little bit. Whoa. Careful now. We're going to venture out a little bit, and we're going to talk some MLB playoffs as well. So a lot of good stuff coming up. Let's dive right into it. If you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, sweet. Let's go all the way back. Seems like eons ago.
Yeah.
Let's go all the way back to Thursday Night Football, where we had a classic showdown of the NFC North Lions taking on the Packers. The Lions come out victorious on this one pretty handedly, 34-20. My question for you, RPF, is with this win, the Lions now sit at 3-1. Where does this put the Lions in your NFC rankings?
4. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's right. So this kind of like dawned on me. I started thinking about the NFC, and obviously the Cowboys had a game against my former favorite team, the Patriots.
Johnny come lately. Oh my gosh. Super Bowl or nothing. Like those bums. They haven't won Super Bowl in 3 years. Oh, my goodness.
And obviously the Eagles pulled out a good overtime win, which we'll get into, and the Niners won, obviously. So I started thinking about the NFC, and I was like, oh, okay, so Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, Lions?
I view it that way. I view it a different way than I'm, obviously not a computer, even though I'm totes smart, is the fact that, what teams don't I want to look for? I mean, that I would not be pleased to see on my schedule sheet, right?
Sure, yep.
And I think the Lions are 4 with the bullet. Honestly, Dolphins are playing the Eagles, and I'm a little not that concerned about it as much as I would be if the Lions were coming to town. So I think 4-ish, let's say. I think the Lions are, and the NFC.
Yeah. I have that as well. A little asterisk in there and we're going to get to this a little bit too. But with the Bucs win, do you have them anywhere in that top? Let's call it 7.
By a fingernail or so.
By a fingernail, okay.
I mean, if they had a manicure, it'd fall off. But yeah, they're. I mean, I need to see one more week, I think, of them. But I think because they were so bad when they lost, but they were so consistent when they won. So let's see if they can pull it off another week, and then I'll be very comfortably in the top 6, 7. Yeah.
Yep,
for sure.
They do have a bye coming up in Week 5, so they have a chance to regroup.
All the better. Then they're going to look great this week.
Yeah. So we'll see. All right, moving on. We had our.
By the way, the Packers Lions. It was a preview of the Thanksgiving early game. Just to FYI.
Oh,
so
there you go.
That should be interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Rematch. Then moving on, we had our 9:30 a.m. game, the London special. Should we do anything? Should we talk?
Yeah, I think that, I think officially, I think the Jags should be the first team to move to London. I think Jacksonville is just like
that's the headline here.
First of all, anyone who's ever been to Jacksonville, I'm sorry. Anyone who lives in Jacksonville, I'm doubly sorry. Jacksonville doesn't deserve an NFL team. I'm sorry. Jacksonville deserves like a pickleball sub-team. So therefore, I suggest not only are they like a terrible home base, but they should be. The Jags they have the biggest fan base they have in London. They play every year over there. In fact, they're hanging out for another week.
That's
to
what
play
I was going to say. They're so accustomed
scones
to
and crumpets in Jacksonville are not exactly compatible. So let them move to London, and we'll fly over there once a year to beat them up. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So luckily my mornings are free when they play in London, so I don't have to watch the game.
Right. All right. Moving on. We got our 1:00 slate. We'll kick this one off with the Broncos and the Bears. Nothing really to tell here, but did we learn anything?
Well, first of all, they both can score points, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Now, with the caveat that they play
But
defenses that don't exist.
They can only score points against each other. Is that the
Correct.
caveat? Yeah.
Correct. I think, nothing.
The Broncos
nothing
went on to win that one, 31-28.
The Bears were up. I mean, the hard luck Bears. I mean, the bad news Bears. I guess literally, man.
That's more like it.
Yeah, these poor guys. Third quarter they're up by 21 or something. You're like, okay, maybe one way, and sure enough, here comes Russell Wilson with the miracle comeback. Anyway, but yeah. So look, I think Sean Payton might have stayed this job for another 2 weeks. So let's see that. So
he put it on hold. He put the pink slip on hold. All right, next one up, we got the Ravens handily taking down the Browns, 28-3. One thing of note is Deshaun Watson was not available for that game. So it is a little bit of a
it makes me nervous with the Browns. It's a little bit like the Dolphins were last year, that without Tua, they couldn't win, and without Deshaun, they can't win. So they're not a complete team yet until they can win without the star quarterback.
Do you see the Ravens? So they officially took the lead in the NFC North.
The Ravens are going to be in the final weekend of the conference finals, I think. I mean, they're going to be in that conversation.
Yep. All right. Next one, we have Steelers 6, Texans 30. RPF. The Texans have put up 67 points in the last 2 games behind a rookie quarterback.
Well, first of all, let's start talking about them because I've been the first one to disrespect them. I think the Steelers have always been over. Steelers for since Terry Bradshaw's last Super Bowl, they've been overhyped in my opinion. Anyways, so I think literally the Steelers have the greatest uniform, the greatest reputation, the greatest type of lore about them, and they're kind of always like kind of propped up more than they should be. If they were like the Panthers with the same team, the Panthers would be like, these people are not. I think. And conversely, the Texans have always been the Texans, right? So we never think of them as anything. So, I mean, but let's look at the numbers.
They used to be good. You remember the Patriots? They used to give the Patriots a run for the money.
Yeah, the Patriots had some weird Achilles heel teams that gave them trouble, including the Dolphins. And it was just teams that they couldn't beat anybody else, but they could beat the Patriots. It's very interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I think the Texans, again, another week I want to see, but let me tell you, they're interesting to watch. And that young quarterback, Court Stroud, he's putting up numbers that Zach Wilson can only dream about, and then we'll get to Daniel, Daniel, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, this year also only Joe Burrow can dream about. Ooh, foreshadow.
Yeah.
But at any rate, it's I look at it and I'm like, ooh, okay, rookie quarterback. Were maybe the first 2 games where they just CJ Stroud getting accustomed to the system and the NFL, and now all of a sudden, he's kind of showing us who he actually is.
And Colts and Texans, both with rookie quarterbacks, I got them at 4 and 13 for the season. They're already winning 4 games already. I mean, I like the upside down world happening here. And Joe Burrow is going to be about to be 1-4.
Well,
something?
I mean, as we've previously mentioned, you can take any of our predictions to the bank. I mean, they're all just written in stone and solid.
I don't think
gold.
anyone had that on their bingo card. Okay, I'm sorry, nobody had it. Nobody had that. So.
All right, moving on. We had the Vikings 21 over the Panthers 13. It's a snooze fest, except for the fact that I learned this weekend. Because I had no idea because the Vikings are so awful. But Kirk Cousins is like in the MVP conversation.
Unbelievable. No, without Kirk, again, this is another team that without Kirk Cousins, they would be, with 4 games, they'd be 0-7. They'd be like the worst team ever.
Yeah.
So I think Kirk Cousins is
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm saying on his back, by his sheer will, they won the game. So therefore, if he's upright, I think this is the beginning of a shift. Perhaps the Vikings are in that conference, in that division that you're never out of it really until Thanksgiving. You haven't won a game or something. But I think they're not out of the conversation yet. So
I was tuning in, and it mentioned that going into week 4, so through 3 weeks, Kirk Cousins was leading the league in yards and touchdowns, and I was like, what?
When Tua, last week was number 1 on everything, he had every record broke. Number 2 with a bullet was Kirk Cousins. Like Kirk Cousins, aren't they 0-3? It's just
right. And so Cousins now through week 4 is 3rd in passing yards. Tua overtook him this weekend, but only by he's less than 100 behind him. He's still leading with 11 touchdowns, 2 more than anyone. It's incredible when you think about how reeling the Vikings actually are.
Or how bad their defense is.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep this train rolling. We had a great overtime game. The Rams beat the Colts 29-23.
They had to have it, and the Rams, man, they almost blew it. I mean, it was bad. It was like they were down up by 21 or something, and then they
almost did. This puts every team in the AFC South at 2-2. Who do you have coming out of this conference?
I still have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, you still have to have them, right? I mean, if not, we're just. I mean, the entire world can be wrong, except But the Brett girl's going to bounce back. He's happy in London, so he's going to, Well, I'll talk about him in a few minutes. But yeah, I think Jags will eke out this type of like unimpressive 10-7 type of division title, and losing the first round to the wild card.
Yep. Yeah. Well, probably more than likely. Let's move on to another overtime game. This one a little bit more nail biting. We're going to go a little deeper into this one. The Eagles eke out a win, 34-31 in overtime at home. Thank you, at home against the Commanders. RPF. What does this tell you about the Eagles?
I'm more impressed with the Eagles' offense than I've always been with their defense, and that's if you can contain their edge passing rush, you can march up and down the field, and that's exactly what the Commanders did. They didn't win with anything flashy. In fact, I dare you to think about one play they had that was a Sports Center highlight. It was just systematic 64-5-yard drives, 40. They just chipped away, and that's not a great defense in the sense that the bend, and you have to count on Jason Kelce up front to push the runners through, and then have and have your all-star quarterback win games for you. That's the same thing with the Chiefs, by the way, and that's why I think it's interesting. It's not the automatic sign off that it's been the past 5 seasons, so it's interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we'll get into that game just down the road a little bit here, but the Jets almost pulled one off against the Chiefs.
Taylor Swift. Taylor effing Swift.
All right, hang on, we're not there yet. So yeah,
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
To me, this I have concerns. I shouldn't say concerns, but I have questions about the Eagles. I mean, when you think about they're sitting there at 4-0, but their wins have come against they've had 1-score games against the Patriots, who admittedly are not great, the Vikings, who we just talked about, are not great, and now the Commanders, who might prove to be good, but we're not quite sure yet. But
we're blown out last week.
But so in my opinion, 3 not really great teams, and they were all 1-score games. I mean,
these are not the Niners coming in. These are not.
Right? Yeah. And if you go back to the Patriots game, that was we were a toe tap away from potentially winning that game. So
the Commanders were a field goal doink from going. From
sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I definitely have questions. Definitely have questions about the Eagles. Too. Let's see who I'm missing here. The Bucs. The Bucs moved to 3-1 after a 26-9 victory over the Saints. The Bucs are looking good, but again, sort of like some of these other teams we were talking about, they've only beaten the Vikings and the Bears. And I forget who the other one was, but
the
Saints. Right. Sorry. Oh, all right.
And scene. Okay.
And
yes.
Scene.
Yeah, the Saints are. Yeah, they're not. It's not. I don't think. Look, like I said, I think I need to see another week of action from the Bucs after their bye week and see what happens.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect.
But by the way, but they're on the bubble firmer than I thought they would be. I mean, meaning on the bubble of total of legitimacy, which is interesting.
I agree. I had them. If you go back to episode 1, I had them as my sleeper team to watch, but I think they're actually outperforming what I thought.
You know what we both do? We
possible.
Always ignore the 60 predictions were completely wrong, but we never forget the one that comes true.
That's right.
We constantly repeat. I'll tell you, 3 seasons ago, I said that the Ravens would become, Anyway, it's so funny. We both do that. We completely have this ability to forget all the predictions that were completely wrong, and then we hone in on our one moment that we were right.
All right, moving on. RPF. We have the Bengals moving to 1-3 after a blowout loss to the Titans, 27-3. What do you got
Speaking
here?
of predictions, we both said if the Bengals don't show up and have a statement game here, it's sayonara. You know what? See you next year, Joe. Chill out.
Yeah, right.
You are. I mean, I think honestly, there's something going on with him physically.
Yes.
Sit him out till the bye, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I think there's something. I mean, 27-3 to the Titans. The Titans can't even tie their shoelaces. I mean, I don't know. It's literally. I mean, it's like. I mean, this is coming from like a Brian Tannehill diehard that was hung in there with him for years with the Dolphins. I think. Yeah. I mean, Derrick Henry had a few good runs as always, but no, 27-3. No.
Yeah.
Does not strike fear in anyone's heart.
No, it does not. It does not.
And Jamar, and so it begins. The discontent in the locker room. You just see Chase's moment.
Yep. Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm always open." Wow.
Well, I believe
to your NFL quarterback, to your NFL Player of the Year candidate who got the biggest contract in history. That's what you're going to tell. And in your third year, you're going to tell your buddy.
Yep. Yeah, not great.
Tongue,
not
please.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, RPF, we've got one last game on the 1 o'clock slate. I saved it for last because I figured you didn't want to talk about it, but we got the Dolphins getting.
No, I think we had a bye week. Didn't we have a bye week that week? I don't remember. I don't have any memory of the Dolphins game. What are you talking about?
This didn't happen. We unfortunately for my man RPF here, we have the Bills.
Let's not get on
48.
Don't give me your sympathy now. When it was like I was so twisted about once I sent Jonah, as we often do, we send one text before our horrible games or good games. I sent him the text with showing the entire panel of experts, except for one. There were 9 experts. 8 of them picked the Bills to win, and one of them had a Dolphins. And I did a hashtag, we'll see. And then after, of course, the second touchdown from the Bills, he goes, I guess we will see. He was like snarky. Of course, you have to wait till the Bills score.
No, hang on. I believe I texted that before the game.
Are you gonna check the videotape?
No, anyway. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Anyway,
the point is that the Dolphins game. Look, this is the headline, and I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
Coming from 70 points, it's insane.
Yep.
Any team, I don't know if you saw this stat, but any team that scores 60 or more points the previous week and wins by 40 points or more, they're like 0-6 the next week. Because, how could that everyone gets really amped up on one side and overconfident on the other. All right. So sure enough. But to lose the way we did, it tells me 2 things as a Dolphin fan. And I'm saying this without as much emotion as I can. The Bills still at Buffalo is still our daddy. Okay. They still we cannot let that team march up and down the field. We have Fangio's defense, the vaulted defensive guru. He cannot stop the Bills at all in any context. Not on 3rd and 6, not on 2nd and 7, not on 1st and 10. So we have no answers for him. What we did have for the first quarter, we had Tua and the offense humming along as if it was last week. So we were, it was touchdown drive. It was like after the first quarter, they were both quarterbacks combined were like 25 for 25.
Yeah, I thought we were on pace. I thought we were on pace for an over/under of like 140.
I mean, I was thinking, could it be 70 in overtime? I was like, So, and then of course the bubble burst when we had, a punt in the second quarter, and all of a sudden all hell broke loose. And I will tell you this: until we solve that issue. And we play the Bills at home to end the season, which is at least nicer than, it's an 80-degree weather rather than Buffalo. So until we solve that issue, we're not going to be considered by anyone. And the last silver lining I'll put to this whole mess of a game, it was a mess. I'm not even going to get into it. It was a mess. The silver lining for me was, okay, now we're back to being the Dolphins that people expect us to be. And that in my heart.
Whoa, hang on.
No, listen. I think the pressure is off a bit. I think all of a sudden we're like a top tier team, but we're not expected to go undefeated at 65 points every game. Now we can say, okay, the Bills spanked us, so we don't play them to the end of the year. So every critic, and including myself, can say, well, we'll see what happens on week 18 when we have the Bills. I think at this point, we have winnable games the next couple of weeks. We have the Giants and we have, I believe, the Commanders,
Panthers.
Or no, the Panthers rather. And then we go to Frankfurt to play the Chiefs, which will be the first real test after this game. So
no, you have the Eagles.
I'm sorry. Well, there you go. Eagles and Chiefs back to back, and that's going to be
you have the Eagles, Patriots, Chiefs.
Oh, there we go. All right. So again, 5 games of those we should win 4, maybe. Okay. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm just saying for 2 weeks we can exhale, play well, execute, and then we can see where we are. So
yeah. So
without the expectation of being 100%.
So hang on. Let me get this right. You're now okay with being the underdog.
Not okay. I'm okay for myself. I don't have that expectation of being.
I can't. I can't.
Listen, welcome to the. You should see, by the way, you should see the fan base. Look, I mean, talk about we're 3-1. Let's be clear, we're 3-1.
Yeah,
in the AFC East. Okay, Buffalo, lost to the Jets. The Jets beat Jets beat Buffalo. Patriots beat somebody. You guys beat the Jets.
Did we? I don't know.
we beat the Patriots. So it's all this daisy chain of all of us has 1 loss each in the division. I mean, for the panic button to be pressed a week after setting historic records.
There's
I'm talking about the fan base, not about the NFL people who understand life. I'm talking about the hyperactive insanity that is the Dolphin Nation, that they just hit the panic button at all. One guy was saying fired McDaniel. Oh my God! I mean, honestly, it's just it's that insane. Our fans are particularly sensitive because they're waiting for that shoe to drop at any minute, and sure enough, it was a boot that fell on our face. But I think ultimately, no one wants to face that offense. Ultimately, Fangio is good enough defensive coach, great enough that he's going to figure it out. So I'm not. And we have 2 weeks to kind of finagle with weaker teams. So I think we're okay. But the expectation game is lowered. Power rankings, my big thing with power rankings. Let's put us at 5 or 6 or 7, and then we'll work ourselves up that way. And I'm perfectly happy there until it counts in December and January.
Just all right. So just everyone note that RPF is no longer obsessed with being the number 1 ranked team and is okay with being underdogs.
Only at the end. Only at the last week. Only at the end.
No, you're absolutely right. There's zero reason for a panic button whatsoever. In my estimation, the Dolphins are still going to be fine. You're still going to be battling it out with the Bills down the road. Both of you are going to the playoffs. That's not the question. If I'm being honest, I do have, when I look at who the Dolphins have beat this year, I do have some questions, right? It's Patriots and Broncos. You beat the Chargers week 1, which is, I'll give that was a good win. Not a great win, but it's a good one.
In LA.
And then Pats and Broncos are not good wins. It's like, unfortunately. So my point is, I do have questions a little bit. Unfortunately, none of those will be answered for a couple weeks. Like you mentioned, you've got
but then
Giants,
you have Eagles and Chiefs, and they'll be
Panthers,
answered quickly.
And then we get into Eagles, so we'll see then. And then you got the Patriots
Eagles,
again.
Chiefs, Cowboys coming up. We have real teams.
Well, you don't have the Cowboys until December.
Well,
Christmas Eve.
I've circled it for Noche Buena. For Noche Buena in Miami.
So you'll be fine. You're going to be in the playoffs. We're not worried about that.
Is it bad that I'm planning to be in Miami for the first time in a couple of years on Christmas Eve, because it's Noche Buena, which I'm Cuban and that's a big holiday. But
no, it sounds fantastic.
So anyway,
I don't know why I didn't get an invite.
I was thinking about going. I'm thinking, should I go this year? And I saw the schedule. I'm like, oh, the Cowboys. Oh, yeah. I think I will be going to Miami for Noche Buena.
You know what? I think you will be.
I will be going to Miami for Noche Buena. That should be a fun party.
Anyway. All right, moving on. The 4 o'clock slate. We only had 3 games in the 4 o'clock slate. This past weekend, we had the Raiders losing to the Chargers 24-17. Yeah. I've got a note that just says cool. I don't know.
Yeah, the Chargers, I thought they should win by 2 touchdowns, but that's a fine point, but it's fine.
The 49ers showed the Cowboys how to actually play the Cardinals and beat them 35 well, I should say Christian McCaffery showed the Cowboys
CMC, yeah. CMC, baby.
How to beat the Cardinals. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very early in the season, and I hate
White
doing all
man
this.
can score. Yeah.
I hate doing all this speculation stuff so early, but gosh, if there's going to be a year for a non-quarterback to take on that MVP award, Christian McCaffery is well in the running for that. And then the last game, the 4 o'clock.
I'll suggest Tyreek Hill also will be candidate.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's also been held in check twice now by the Patriots.
Not held in check 3 times now. So,
well, they've only played 4 games.
Well,
so
one time was emotional in practice. It was he was racing against all the other teammates. It was very fun.
All right, and then the last game I had in the 4 o'clock slate was the Cowboys beating somebody 38-3. My note here is it's official. I'm a Lions fan.
So I was going to ask you which team you were jumping on your bandwagon.
Yeah. So it's the bandwagon jump has begun.
Is there a reason why the Lions?
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out which team. I'm not.
Well, they're fun to watch offensively. Yeah,
they're fun to watch. I'm not completely sold. I'm not fully on the bandwagon. I'm like I got like a foot dragging off of it. Maybe
the Dolphins can
you're allowed to do that with a bandwagon, right? You're allowed to keep as many parts off of it as you want and jump onto another one at any moment.
Well, yeah. Not that I know, but I suffer.
For the moment, it's the Lions. Both my parents were born and raised outside of Detroit, so
there you go.
Yeah, my household has always had some affiliation to Lions, Red Wings, Tigers in some sort of way. So,
and I thought you were completely like obsessed with the Wizard of Oz, you know. It's Lions, Tigers.
Got it.
It doesn't land as easily for our younger viewers. Google Wizard of Oz and Lions, please. Put them up. I'll fight you with one hand behind my leg.
Sunday night, we had almost a
impression
shocker.
of the Cowardly Lion, by the way.
Yeah. we had very close to an absolute shocker Sunday night with the Jets putting up 20 to the Chiefs 23. So the Chiefs
you mean
the
Taylor Swift appearance that had a game involved?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, let me tell you something before all the eye rolls come in, you know, and I could feel them just emanating from our multitude of fans and viewers and watchers and listeners. Taylor Swift Inc. is so phenomenally juggernautic that without that's not a word, by the way, that the NFL is literally doing the Snoopy dance on their back with their paws up in the air, giggling because when the thing was so perfect about it for me as a pop cultural zeitgeist moment was there was Taylor Swift in the skybox, of course, with not only Kelsey's mom but also the America's sweetheart, Blake Lively and Ryan Young, and Hugh Jackman,
Reynolds,
the newly single
Hugh
Jackman, by the way, which is a whole different topic. Anyway, and then you cut to Aaron Rodgers in this little mustachioed type of cartoon villain face with by himself in Woody's in the owner's skybox, just kind of taking notes, shaking his head, and there's Taylor high-fiving everybody. And I kept thinking, when Aaron Rodgers went down after that whole moment, he walked into the stadium with the flag and everything, and then he gets hurt instantly. All of a sudden, what's the NFL going to do? Oh, I know. Yeah. Let's get Taylor Swift to fall in love with Taylor Swift. By the way, and I will tell you this, two last thoughts about that. 27 million people, as of this morning, we just confirmed it, watched that game. That is exactly 8 million more than ever in the past 5 years. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And wait for it, the demographic of 18 to 32-year-old women, 614% higher.
Yeah.
So the NFL, that's not their strength in the demographic.
Here's the thing, right? As football, pure football fans, I was going to say purists, but it's not really purist, but as pure football fans, you can't try not to allow yourself to get annoyed with what's happening because
it's a business.
Exactly. And to all the stuff that you've just pointed out, I mean, it is a home run.
It helps everybody.
It's a grand
slam.
Helps
everybody. I think to me, the whole thing of voting, the more people vote, the better. Let's have everyone watch football.
I say that I bring this up because I was one of those people, I'm watching the game and I'm just like, do we have to cut does every cutaway have to be to the skybox? Can we cut away to something else?
I was waiting for the comment where they showed Aaron Aaron Rodgers by himself with a term, anti-hero. If you know anything about Taylor, that's her big hit song.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think, look, not only am I thrilled about all my worlds colliding because I'm a pop culture nut, as you know, and I love, so I'm all about. I love Bennifer for Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. I love Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I think it is good for football. It's good for life to have moments like that coalesce. We're not in our vertical worlds. We're all kind of can be in one world,
Can I express my one concern?
Yes.
And we won't find out until down the road, obviously. My one concern is that I don't want this to end up being down the road, us looking back and going, oh my gosh, that was so fake and so set up, and the whole scenario.
It's not set up. It's going to be, if they break up, it'll be a heartbreak, and she'll have a number one album from it. She'll write songs about it.
I hope it's not. But
it's not fake. If you don't, I have a good radar for all of this, and this is the opposite of that. I think this is the opposite of that. I mean,
I hope you're right.
Two things could be true at the same time. It could be a genuine type of moments that they're getting together, that they're hanging out, that they're getting to know each other, they're dating. Now the problem is that she's the world's most famous star this minute. So
yeah,
but it also could be true that their people say to whomever, by the way, they'll be here in 2 hours to have dinner. So all of a sudden there's all these paparazzi there. Doesn't mean that it's not real. It just means that it's how the world navigates in this sphere. I've seen it with Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian and all the people that are just, I'm having lunch at the Ivy in Beverly Hills, and all of a sudden 16 paparazzi show up out of nowhere, and 2 minutes later there's Kim Kardashian walking in with whomever. So that's just how the world operates. It doesn't mean it's fake. It means Kim's still having lunch at the Ivy, but it doesn't mean anyway. The point is,
well, I know that. I know Travis Kelce's still playing football at MetLife Stadium,
and they're so cute. Like after a big play, he waves to her in the booth, and she's like high fiving Blake Lively, which, by the way, it's Gossip Girl. If you know Blake Lively, she's a star of Gossip Girl.
I mean, so if I may weigh in on the pop culture here, yes. I have to imagine.
Okay.
Mark your calendars.
I'm thinking, I should call your wife. I said, wait, he's commenting on something that actually happened on television in the past 20 years. Oh my God. Okay,
no,
here we go.
To your point, being as huge of a star as she is, she would not show up to a game unless they were an actual item. You know what I mean?
Agree with that. Yes.
Like, I can't imagine you would just, like, the frenzy.
In spite of the press, she's coming to the game. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
by the way, she dated a guy for 6 years that I still don't know his name, like Joe, whatever his name is, some British guy who weighs like 80 pounds. He literally, 6 years they were together, and he was very private, so she didn't go anywhere near the press. And she still was Taylor Swift, and no one knew who, obviously her fans know who he is, but he was not like this guy out there. Travis Kelce, before Taylor Swift, was like hosting SNL and becoming the new Peyton Manning spokesmodel for every TV commercial, and engaging as F. And the best podcast with his brother, by the way, second best podcast after us.
Second best, right?
Yes,
correct.
Yes. But the game itself was a revelation.
All right. The game. I forgot about that. Yeah, 20.
Stop talking culture. God, Jonah, we're talking just a football. This is a sports podcast.
So actually, I heard something really funny. And I want to say it was on the Pat McAfee show. I'm not positive, but however, it was
second time you mentioned Pat McAfee in 2 weeks, by the way. So.
Yeah, I like his show. So third best. He's got the third best podcast show,
and the worst wardrobe, which is funny.
So it was funny. They were talking about all the Swifties that tuned into the game, right? And he goes, "Can you imagine the people, the millions of people that tuned into football for the first time in their life and are now under the impression that Zach Wilson is a better quarterback than Pat Mahomes?" And I laughed out loud. I was like,
"No, it's true." But I'll take you one better than that. I was in the Swiftie universe looking at their questions, because there's a whole thing about learning football, in 5 easy steps.
Yeah.
So basically, the questions were like, okay, open questions. Let me know what you want to know. Because what's a field goal? That type of stuff. But then they said that one girl says, she's 15 years old. She goes, I've never seen it, but this looks a lot like gay porn with clothes on. Which is very funny. And then one girl kept saying, "But what's a down?" And they tried to explain it to her. He goes, "But Are they down? What's a down? It was very funny. I mean, if you break down football to those terms, it was really funny because it's like, what is a down? Why they call it down?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty funny.
Love
Swifties. Swifties are saving NFL.
Let's wrap up Sunday night real quick. The Chiefs, much like the Eagles that we were talking about a little bit before, the Chiefs they're not the same Chiefs anymore. They're 3-1. They're finding ways to win, which Patrick Mahomes will always do. But gosh, they also seem very, very beatable. Very beatable.
Yeah. And they were one pick away that was called back from a penalty to losing that game.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that, and I thought
that was not a penalty.
I thought that was awful.
Yeah, me too. And by the way, honestly, they just protect the Chiefs more. They used to be Brady.
Honestly,
also,
when that happened, when that interception happened, I hate to say, but my first reaction was Goodell called the refs and was like, "Hey, just kind of if a moment happens, you can make sure the Chiefs pull this off. Please do so."
Well,
it was gross. It shouldn't have been a penalty
in the Dolphin game. Also, what's his name? The quarterback for the Bills. I'm blanking on all the time.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was literally touched by a Dolphin after the play. And you could see him jawing at the ref. Look, and then Tony Romo was like, "Oh, he touched you. Oh, he touched you." He was very much that to me for a Dolphin fan when Brady, and you won't feel this way at all, but when Brady got all the calls,
absolutely.
I mean, you couldn't even touch him without being flagged. And the same thing with Mahomes is now getting a lot of kind of these weird calls that are just like always during the pocket defensive holding, and meanwhile the guy touches the jersey for a second. It's just it's not fair.
Yes,
the Jets were that close. Were their version of a toe tap away from winning that game.
They were. They very much were.
And by the way, when did I'll ask the question now, and we'll bring it up. When did Zach Wilson become Daniel Jones, and when did Daniel Jones become Zach Wilson? This week.
Cue it up. Monday night, we had the Seahawks beating the Giants 24-3. I got nothing here for you.
I do.
The Giants are awful, and the Seahawks won. Everything was as it should be. It
was Devon Witherspoon. Remember that name, Devon Witherspoon,
that interception.
Cornerback, rookie, the 5th overall pick. Before his 97-yard pick six, 97-yard pick six, which is hard to do even in grade school. So 97-yard pick six, he literally was not only tackling everywhere on the field, he was like a Van Ginkel against the Patriots. He literally was everywhere, and not one broken tackle. He was behind the line of scrimmage, attacking. He was fearless in his one-on-one coverage. I mean, he is Jalen Ramsey caliber dude. So to me, he's my early pick. Not a big surprise for rookie defensive player of the year, because this guy, Devon Witherspoon, no relation to Reese that I'm aware of, but he's definitely someone to watch. And but Daniel Jones, okay, and I live in the New York City greater area, right? How did Daniel Jones get a pass for all these years, 4 seasons now, 3 seasons plus? He's lost the ball 24 times. He's fumbled the ball 24 times. That's what? Anyway, and then Zach Wilson, admittedly, is not ready for prime time for sure, but he's never lost 24. I mean, can you imagine? First of all, if Zach Wilson fumbled 24 times, he'd be hung in effigy, in Times Square. The fact that Daniel Jones, because he's wearing a Giants type of uniform, and they protect him more, and they have more weapons, they're not as. Anyway, this game exposed that Zach Wilson could step up this week. He could step up and become someone that they expect him to be. And then Daniel Jones, if maybe seeing his ceiling, maybe he's not as good as take them to the promised land. So anyway,
I mean, everyone, I'm no football evaluator, but everyone keeps saying that Zach Wilson has all these intangibles. And obviously when you watch the game,
wasn't he the top quarterback taken?
Second,
yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. He was that class.
I forget my Brett girl. Oh my god.
But yeah, everyone keeps talking about how his arm talent and he's got all these intangibles that should add up.
It doesn't help that he looks like a 9-year-old. So
the Jets have the Broncos next weekend. So
yeah,
hey, Jets,
are we going to go down and talk about what's next on our list?
Yeah. We're moving on. So we're going to wrap up our recap real quick here. Let's do RPF. Did you? Do I understand this correctly? Have you prepared a quick 2-word summary of each game?
I mean, it's not. They're not. Well, yes, I have.
All right.
The short answer is yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I am pumped for this. All right. This is gonna go rapid fire. Okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
All right. This is RPF's quick rundown of the Week 4 NFL. Lions, Packers.
Validating.
Falcons, Jaguars.
Move to UK.
Broncos, Bears.
Broncos Bears is 9-1-1.
Ravens, Browns.
Rolling.
Steelers, Texans.
Wow.
Vikings, Panthers.
Beginnings.
Rams, Colts.
Must win.
Bucs, Saints.
Convincing.
Commanders, Eagles.
Eye-opening.
Bengals, Titans.
Next year.
Dolphins, Bills.
Groundhog Day.
Raiders, Chargers.
Too close.
Cardinals, 49ers.
Steamroller.
Patriots, Cowboys.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Chiefs, Jets.
Is Zach back?
Seahawks, Giants.
Wake me up.
Beautiful. And there we are. We have the full recap in less than 1 minute for your listening pleasure. Hey, I've got my shock/surprise of Week 4. It's actually of all the cumulative weeks. I think I even said it last week. Bengals, Joe Burrow. Holy moly. It is bad.
By the way, every week we've said that's been our biggest surprise since we started the season.
Yeah, and I am officially on concern for the Bengals. I don't think they can turn this around. I really don't. Just given the way they look, Joe Burrow sitting at a 58% completion rate. He's averaging less than 100. He's averaging less than 200 yards a game. He's averaging a half a touchdown a game.
That's not going to get it done in the NFL. It just doesn't.
No.
I mean, that's bad, man.
It's really bad.
That's Chicago Bears territory. That's bad. Yeah.
All right, let's head into our Week 5 preview.
Yes.
Let's get into that and get through that so we can get on to some MLB stuff and wrap it up here. Week 5, we are coming out of the gate with a bit of a snooze fest, but we got the Bears, the 0-4 Bears taking on the 2-2 Commanders. Here's my question for you, RPF. The Bears, given that they just put up 28 points last week, yes, it was against the Broncos, but nonetheless, they put up 28 points. And they actually looked really good until the very end of the game. But given they put up 28 points last week, and also given that the Commanders are coming off quite an emotionally and physically taxing overtime loss to the Eagles, do you see any possible upset alert here? Could the Bears, they're obviously not going to win a ton of games this year. Could this be one of those games that they sneak a win in?
No.
Okay.
By the way,
moving on to Sunday.
You know what I love? I love the fact that you give the Bears scoring 28 points more credence than the Dolphins scoring 70 against the same team a week earlier. It's like, oh yeah, the Dolphins can do anything they want because it's the Broncos. And meanwhile, the Broncos, the same team played the Bears. The Bears scored 28, which, by the way, compared to 70 is essentially a girls' softball team scoring. So. The Commanders are the real.
Geez, Mr. Editor-in-Chief, apologies for trying to make a story out of something.
Nope, nothing, not there. Look elsewhere. Commanders by 21.
All right, I got the Bears by 1. How about that? Take that.
Wow. Yeah, I'll take it. that penny's going to be lonely and dusty.
All right, we got another London game coming at you, 9:30 a.m. For your viewing pleasure. It is the Bills taking on the Jaguars. Any need to talk about this game?
Yes.
For what?
This is a statement game. The Jaguars win.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Two reasons. Jags in London, we just talked about how happy our Brett girl is there, and he's like having crumpets and having tea with the queen, with the king, I guess, at this point. Anyway, the point is that the Jaguars are happiest in London. They're sitting, they're not traveling. They're there the entire week. Further, remember the Jaguars beat the Bills 2 seasons ago. Late in the season, it was like a shock that people couldn't believe it. But it wasn't that they beat the Bills, how they beat the Bills. Like they shut them down to a field goal the whole game. I have a hunch the Jaguars are pissed off about their lack of respect they've been getting out of the gate because of their own doing. This could be the eye-popping game of the week. I'm calling it Jaguars by 3.
Wow. Okay. Moving on to the 1 o'clocks, we got the 2-2 Titans taking on the 2-2 Colts in another AFC South showdown.
The Colts. I got the Colts.
You got the Colts in this one, okay?
By 4.
The 2-2 Saints are also taking on. I shouldn't say also taking on because they're not also taking on the Colts. The 2-2 Saints are taking on the 1-3 Patriots.
The Patriots will win. Belichick will not be embarrassed again, and he'll win his 300th game at home. And he was probably just waiting to win that game at home anyway. So I think
this is all part of the plan.
Yeah,
I do agree, especially if Derek Carr's still out. I don't know where he stands on that, but I do agree. I do think they can pull this one off at home.
Yeah.
The 3-1 Ravens and the 2-2 Steelers. The Steelers appear to be reeling pretty well.
Not close.
Yeah,
I think the Ravens walk away with this.
I think the Ravens. I agree on that one. The 2-2 Texans and the 2-2 Falcons.
The Texans are better than we're saying. The Falcons are not as good as we think. So I think the Texans win this one.
They seem to be. So if they're going to be that team, show me again this week. Yep.
Exactly.
The 0-4 Panthers are taking on the 3-1 Lions.
Lions in a walk.
Yeah, I hope it's my favorite team. So I'm pulling for the Lions here. They should win this
lifelong Lions fan.
And then the last one in the 1 o'clocks, we got the 1-3 Giants taking on the 3-1 Dolphins. I got nothing here.
No, I think it's going to be Dolphins by 30.
It should be pretty easy for them. Let's put it that way. 4 o'clocks, 1-3 Bengals taking on the 1-3 Cardinals.
Bengals are still terrible. I think the Bengals still win this one.
Yes, I have Bengals. Hello, or anything? Are we gonna do anything? I think
Jamar Chase might go under center himself if he has to. I mean, he literally needs the ball. So I think he's gonna get 20 touches. I think he needs 4 to score touchdowns, and the Cardinals can't answer that ball. And the Bengals still have some sort of a defense. I think the Bengals eke this out, and they're still terrible.
Yep. All right, the 4-0 Eagles taking on the 2-2 Rams. RPF, I've got this one asterisk. The Rams are playing well. And the Eagles are traveling all the way across the country. Could this possibly be an upset alert?
Not only is it, the answer is yes, it's going to be easy. I think the Rams win this easily.
Ooh, I like this. I like this. Okay.
Easily. Put it to you a different way. The Rams were up at 21 points or something in the second half before the big comeback by the Colts, and they had to win in overtime. The Rams are going to do that again, but not give up. Not lose the spread.
I agree with you. I have this one as an upset alert, so I do agree with you on that. The Eagles, like we mentioned earlier, they're not impressing me right now. They are 4-0, but they are not impressing me.
It's a different species, but they're paper tigers.
Next, we got the 1-3 Jets taking on the 1-3 Broncos.
The Jets all day.
Is this game for real? I'm not sure.
Jets all day. I think Zach he likes the positive press coverage. He took responsibility for his own thing at the end. I think he's going to step in and would do it just enough to be. The Bronco fans should be wearing their orange badge over their head at this point because it's going to be bad.
Yeah, he's headed back quasi to his own territory. He was a BYU guy, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. They're headed back to the area, if you will. There are no teams in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3-1 Chiefs taking on the 1-3 Vikings. Listen, this should be on paper should be easy for the Chiefs, but I don't know.
Vikings by 6.
Vikings by 6. Ooh, I think RPF might be foreshadowing quite a few of his surprise picks for the week. Then we got a huge one Sunday night. Huge game here Sunday night. We have the 3-1 Cowboys taking on the 4-0 49ers. RPF, which team is this a bigger game for?
No, the Cowboys. The Cowboys will win in overtime.
Oh.
Micah Parsons' safety.
Oh. Okay. I do agree with you on the fact that it is a much bigger game for the Cowboys than the 49ers, mainly because, at least in my estimation, there's much more questions right now with the Cowboys than there are the 49ers.
Jekyll and Hyde.
They're very Jekyll and Hyde. The 49ers, if they lose to what is supposed to be a good team. So everyone's kind of like, oh, yeah, you lost to the Cowboys. Whereas if the Cowboys lose, they go to 3-2. And it's like, well, geez, they win and then they lose and they win.
The problem is, here's the thing. It's your thing to look out for. The Niners haven't been challenged at all this whole season. At all. I'm not even. But by halftime, the games are mostly over. People are coasting. Everyone's. Yep. The minute that the Cowboys step in, and all of a sudden, let's say it's 17-17 at half, it becomes a different pressure that they haven't felt this whole season. I think the Cowboys are going to power through and just eke a win at the last minute somehow.
Yep.
I do have a feeling about this, hunch about this.
In San Francisco, you think they're going to win?
Yeah, that makes it all the more relaxing for the Niners not to be that much pressure. If they have to fly into the big Texas stadium, and it's a whole different vibe. If you're home, and you just came off like a snooze fest of a win. You're reading all the press about yourself. You're believing it. You're not going to work as hard, as intense as. I have a feeling about this one. I have a feeling about it.
Okay, and then Monday night.
And if I'm wrong, we're never going to mention this again.
Right? Yeah, it didn't happen.
Right, exactly.
Monday night, we've got the 2-2 Packers taking on the 1-3 Raiders. Not a hugely exciting game in my estimation. I
think Love will hit the strip. I think the
in a good way. Right?
In a good way. Well, not lust, love.
Like he's I mean, like he's going to spend all night there,
that's only in South Beach when people go to Miami. No, I think Love is going to have a great game. I think he's going to have another kind of statement game. And again, people will say, "Hey, yeah, but it's the Raiders," but I still think it's going to be a good game for the Packers, and they're going to have a bounce back game.
So I know you predicted them early in the preseason show to compete. Do you still see the Packers competing in the NFC North as we come down the stretch?
I think they're competing. Honestly, they're grouped with 3 or 4 teams, the Seahawks and different teams, for the second or third wild card. That's going to be the fight there. I mean, I think the Lions are going to walk away. I think the Vikings, Packers, and Seahawks might be competing for the wild card. That's going to be the jockeying, in my opinion, there. But yeah, so that's essentially it.
Okay. Things to note: we've got 4 teams on a bye this week. We've got the Bucs, Browns, Chargers, and Seahawks all on a bye. All on a bye.
The Browns need it because the Browns need Deshaun Watson back. So that was
Browns need it. The Chargers could regroup and get Eckler back when they come out of this in 2 weeks. And as we mentioned earlier, the Bucs have a chance to regroup and hit the ground running as well. RPF. Big, bold predictions for week 5.
Well, I think I said it already, but essentially, wait for it. Buffalo Bills, Philadelphia Eagles, and the San Francisco 49ers. 3 of the 4 top teams right now in power rankings, in any ranking, and they're all going to lose this week.
I see what you've done here. I see where your big, bold predictions are going. These are all the teams ahead of the Dolphins because they lost last week.
No.
They're all going to lose. No. The Dolphins can creep back up.
First of all, the Dolphins beating the Giants will not make an inch of impact.
You might go backwards.
Exactly. You might lose points just for showing up. No. I'm not even. I told you, I'm not worried about the computers or the rankings. I want to be hovering
anymore.
As long as we're top 10 and we're getting some little bit, whatever. That's fine. But no, I honestly believe, for different reasons, the Bills have to go to London, right? With the Brett girl and its cohorts having bangers and mash all the whole week. Yeah. Then you have the Niners complacent, having their foggy drinks over there as well, relaxed at home. Then you have the Eagles kind of believing their own crap and not impressing that much from last week. I think all of them are vulnerable. And look, it's going to be probably unlikely that all lose, but I think of the 3, I think 2 of them might actually lose, and I'm hoping all 3 do.
Okay, there you go. I am in agreement with you on the Rams over Eagles for sure. Well, I shouldn't say for sure. It's not a sure.
Well, you're for sure in agreement with me, but we don't know.
I'm for sure in agreement with you that could very well be an upset. I don't see the other 2. If I saw
how much fun would it be to start the weekend with the Bills being upset by Jacksonville Jaguars?
For you, it'd be great.
For you. Right. You used to be a Patriots fan.
I used to be a Patriots fan.
I remember when you were a Patriots fan. That's so funny.
Yeah, you remember that? I'm no longer concerned with the AFC East.
Oh, my God.
Hey, that's our football coverage.
I think you and Giselle have been the only 2 people who've ever stopped being Patriots fans.
Hey, real quick, let's jump into. We got the MLB playoffs starting. Actually, they start today or tomorrow, I should say. As we record this.
Yes.
Round one, so the little best of three between all the wild card teams.
By the way, this is a new format this year, and it's so much fun. It's so
very
glad.
fun. Yeah, it is right. Yeah. I got confused. I started looking them up, and I was like, "Oh, when does everyone play?" And I was like, "Wait, there's only 3 games." I was
baseball
like, "Oh
fixed baseball by itself." If the NFL can listen to me and please fix the overtime rules for heaven's sake, you cannot lose a game if you don't touch the ball in extra time. That is absurd. Okay, I'm fine.
All right. So MLB playoffs start. Round one starts Tuesday. It's a best of 3, so it's going to happen like a flash. And this podcast won't get released until afterwards. But we've got the Rangers versus the Rays, the Blue Jays versus the Twins, Diamondbacks versus the Brewers, and the Marlins versus the Phillies. Real quick here, RPF, I've got Tampa coming out over the Rangers. I've got the Blue Jays over the Twins. I've got the Brewers over the Diamondbacks and the Phillies over the Marlins. Any disagreements there?
I have Rays, Blue Jays, Brewers, and Marlins. Is that what you have? No, you have Phillies.
The Phillies.
Yeah, I had the Marlins.
The Phillies.
Good, Miami. I'm from Miami. Obviously, I have a soft spot. And Marlins, by the way, don't sleep on them. Whenever they go to the playoffs, they always do great. They just have to get to the playoffs.
I understand. Here's my 2 things with the Phillies. They are 7-3 in their last 10 games.
I know.
And more importantly, if I'm not mistaken, these little best of 3 series, it's all in one location. So these are all in Philadelphia.
Did you see the check swing seen around the world? That
I did. Yeah.
Angel Hernandez.
Yeah. It's Angel Hernandez, old news. Yeah.
I mean, what's he looking at? Anyway, just kidding. Angel Hernandez, for who don't know, he's an umpire who's notoriously has at least every season at least half a dozen calls that are so mind-bogglingly bad.
Yeah,
it's almost absurd to even argue with him because it's like
a lot. There's been quite a few. The umpiring this year has been really bad. But moving forward, who cares? Moving forward, we've got Orioles waiting in the wings. We've got the Orioles, Astros, Braves, and Dodgers. Listen, I'm going to do this real quick because we'll be able to dive into this better once this little quick round of 3 happens. So, because I have the Phillies, that means if I'm not mistaken, they may have changed how seeding happens. I don't know, but I've got the Orioles over the Blue Jays in the next round. I've got the Rays over the Astros in the next round. I've got the Braves over the Phillies in the next round.
I do too. I have the Braves over the Marlins, but yeah.
And I've got the Dodgers over the Brewers in the next round.
Yeah, so we all agree on this.
And which is, I hate it because it's just basically all the teams with the best record. But they're
the best teams.
They are the best teams. Yeah. And I actually, I went into this. I actually dove into this. Like the Dodgers over the Brewers. The Dodgers versus the Brewers are 5-0 in their last game against the Brewers, outscoring them 28-9. So it's like, how can I pick against them? So then moving forward, I've got the Orioles over the Rays. And the Braves over the Dodgers.
No, I have Orioles and Dodgers in this.
So you've got the Dodgers beating the Braves.
I do, and I have the Dodgers winning the World Series.
Okay, I've got the Braves winning the World Series.
And Mookie Betts MVP.
Yeah, I mean, would make sense. By
the way, the reason I'm picking the Orioles and the Rays to do so well because that AL East. They beat up on each other, and they just made each other better. All the teams got better playing such powerhouse teams, the Orioles and the Rays, everybody.
Yeah,
even even the Red Sox and Yankees had their moments. So I think the AL East have the rep will be the Orioles, like we said, but I think at the end of the day, the Dodgers have too much firepower. Or in your case, you said the Braves, right? So.
Braves, either one, either. Listen. The Braves and Dodgers are very interchangeable to me.
Yeah.
I have my homie Jesse Chavez is with the Braves again.
But was he gone and came back?
Well, he's been there he got injured this year. But he was having a lights out year.
Doing what, on Taco Tuesday? What?
No,
how did he get injured?
No. He took a line drive off his shin. And got like a semi-fracture. I believe it was Miguel Cabrera too, which gives you street cred at least.
Yeah, it's not the pitcher. Well, the pitcher.
But he was out for a long time.
Wow.
He missed shin. So that was like June. That was like June 16th. I think that happened somewhere in the middle of June.
And is he on the roster now?
And he just came back at the end of September.
Maybe we can do like a microphone, a live podcast from the game, and he's in the bullpen.
I'm sure that would go very well.
I'm sure his team would be.
I'm sure the Braves would have zero problems with that. Yeah.
I'll say that we're Travis, that we're the Kelsey brothers, and see if they say yes then.
All right, RPF. Any final thoughts on this week?
I think upset specials. You know, you want to. How much? What would be if you put $100 on those 3 upsets that I mentioned? How much would you get back? That's what I'm wondering.
Okay, I'll look into that. I will look into that for you.
It could be my worst. It could be my first time I ever sports bet. If you tell me,
I'm gonna make my 10-cent bet this week is gonna be your picks, your 3 upset picks, and we're gonna see how well you do.
But can you tell me offline $100? What would I get if I bet $100 on those 3 upsets? Just straight up and down.
Got it.
Wins. Yeah.
Got it. Hey, that's all the time we have this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast, over on Apple, Spotify, all the great platforms. You can also find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms. Type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF.
Subscribe, hit like, watch the episodes.
Do all the things. Subscribe, like, comment, reply, call? No, you can't call us.
Just comment. It's fine. We'll find you. We'll find you.
All right, that's all the time we got. We'll see you next week.
Bye, Jonah.